So, hopefully I got your attention with the title. I figured I would lay out why I personally like RSS feeds and prefer them over using just about any other way to subscribe to content. And I really do actually mean everything. If you want to follow a Twitter account or a YouTube video or videos on another platform, or avoid filling up your inbox with newsletters or blogs or anything, that would all work. And now, honestly, feeds really aren't all that new. In fact, they're just about as old as I am. The concept is pretty simple though. You just have a file and it's accessed over the internet, and it just lists off a bunch of different items which your feed reader views, and then lists off as various different items that you can read or watch or however else you consume the specific content that was put out. And like I said, it can be just about everything from written content like news or articles or blogs to videos like YouTube videos, or even something like the top posts of a subreddit or social media feeds, or you name it. So I figured I would lay out the reasons why I specifically like RSS feeds over a number of different options, and then afterwards I'll lay out how I prefer to view them. The first reason worth talking about feeds is privacy. Unlike, say a YouTube subscription, you don't need to create any sort of account to subscribe to feeds, even if you were to, for example, subscribe to a whole bunch of YouTube channels through feeds. In that case, you usually can just open it within the reader, and in the case of a YouTube video, for example, you would just open it in a web browser and view it without signing in. Though if it's like in article form, you might read it within the reader or open it within, say, the YouTube app or something like that. Which brings me to the second point, is that feeds allow a lot more customization in how you view your content. Usually, if you're loading text-based articles within your feed, you might just read it within the feed reader without, a million different images, ads, and recommended posts. And if you're opening something like, say, a YouTube video, which isn't text and probably can't be read within the reader, you choose how it opens. So, you could open it with something like NewPipe, or within the YouTube app, or within a browser if you're choosing. And my favorite way to do something like this would be to, say, open it with a browser that has sponsor block and ad block built in, and then automatically clears cookies when you close it. This is doable on, Windows and Linux and Mac and all that, but it's also doable on Android with the Fennec fork of Firefox, which allows desktop add-ins, so you can get all those benefits on Android, even though you usually can't with most other mobile browsers. Third, there's no algorithms or recommended content or anything like that, just the content you specifically decide to subscribe to. And of course, for some people, they might consider it a drawback, but I personally would find it a bit more productive to only consume the content I want, while cutting out distractions or rabbit holes and stuff like that. But whether you consider it a benefit or a drawback, I guess either way it's worth mentioning. And last, of course, you can mix and match content pretty easily. Take videos, for example. If you were to regularly watch YouTube and watch it from within the app, or within NewPipe, or just by loading the site and personally viewing your subscriptions within a web browser, then you're completely stuck on YouTube. Personally, for example, if anyone's hosting a PeerTube instance or something like that, and they keep their videos up to date on that instance, then I would personally prefer to watch it just because they put in the effort to get it running. Or for examples like, say Mental Outlaw usually posts additional content on Odyssey that it doesn't post on YouTube or something like that. And while I've used feeds on and off for years, this is really what got me to switch all my videos watching specifically to feeds, because, manually checking one or two channels on Odyssey or a couple of PeerTube instances, plus maybe, say half dozen Substacks and blogs and stuff like that, it would be a real pain and time-consuming process to do that individually. But if you can have all it from within one app, it makes it super easy and not a hassle at all. So, for example, you have a video folder within your feeds, and that'll show subscriptions over, maybe a half a dozen different platforms or something like that. And that allows you to completely mix and match, and they're all listed within the same list, ordered by date, as if you were looking at them from within the YouTube app or something like that. So, if you're still interested, here's where I'll go over all the basics of reading feeds and what different setups you can choose. The process is honestly pretty simple, and you can just take the feed link and add it to the feed reader. It's usually advertised with the RSS icon, but I will also probably write about different feeds for a whole bunch of different services that don't advertise it. Things like other video platforms, social medias, etc. Now, it varies from service to service according to which reader you're using, but you could generally just paste the link in, name the feed, and optionally add it to a particular folder or group, and then just choose how the reader will open the content when it comes in. And in the background, you'll probably see at this point me playing a video of me adding some content to the feed reader app Feeder, which is my personal favorite reader for Android, and the process which you go through to just add it in and sort it and all that. But aside from Feeder, you have a couple options of how you actually want to read the feeds. My favorite way is, like I mentioned, the Feeder app, which you should have just or currently been seeing me adding content to it. Additionally, on PC, I like to use the Thunderbird program, which allows feed reading in addition to email and stuff like that. There are a million different local feed reading apps and programs and all that for different platforms, so it doesn't matter too much which you choose. Just choose the one you like the most. Personally though, I usually access them on my phone, my tablet, and my computer. So one drawback is, at least with this setup, is that you can't track what you've read across all different devices. And now I guess you should note, FeedReader does allow you to sync between other mobile devices, though I don't currently use that feature. For some feeds that doesn't matter, like for example, me personally at least, when it comes to my news feeds, I usually scroll through and read what I want, and then just mark everything else as read. But for something like with my video feeds, which I usually consume most all the content that gets put into them, I usually just consume that on whatever device I'm currently on. And then on my phone, I just mark what I've watched as read, so I can use my phone to keep track of what I watched and what I haven't, and what I want to save for later. Additionally though, outside of local readers, you can also use a service like Feedly. This is a completely separate app from the app Feeder. I know it's a very similar name, but they're completely unrelated. Feedly itself is a service similar to the discontinued Google Reader, which allows you to add your feeds and then just consume them within the app or their website, keeping track of what you've watched and what you haven't. It obviously cuts back on the privacy aspect I mentioned a moment ago, since it's now Feedly trying to capture data and sell ads to you, as opposed to, say, YouTube or whatever other service you're using. But it is still really convenient to keep track of what you watched or read or listened to all in one place, without algorithms and stuff like that. It's also usually a little bit more user-friendly. For example, you often don't even need to get the RSS feed link, and you can just add a YouTube channel or search out a specific feed and subscribe to it all from within the site. I personally haven't used Feedly in a long time, but it's a great option, and if you were looking to look into RSS feeds, it would still be worth checking out. And last, I guess it's worth mentioning, some people do have self-hosted feed media servers. Using something like, say, Fresh RSS, you would install it on a home server or a virtual private server, and then it would pull all the data from your feeds and provide it to you, and also keep track of what you watched and what you haven't across all different devices, while still allowing you to control all of your own data, since it's on a device controlled by you, as opposed to being provided by a private company. Of course, it's a bit drastic in my opinion to self-host something like this on your own, so it's probably not for everyone, but I guess it's still worth pointing out. Well, I guess that concludes my quick little intro into feeds here. I started working on content about feeds since I was working on my website, and since I manually made my website from scratch, I also had to manually make the feed from scratch. So, and while they're on my mind, I figured I would make this, as well as also probably content on how to subscribe to things with feeds, including just about everything that doesn't even advertise feeds as a service, as well as how to create a feed from scratch and allow people to follow your content in a way that you totally control. And also, I will probably even cover one last thing, which is just why I think creators would benefit from creating their own self-hosted feeds. Anyway, I guess stay tuned for those if you're interested. I apologize if the audio hasn't been the best. And otherwise, thanks for watching.